Civic Mirror, the online simulation mirroring the real-life game of law and politics. The country our class created through Civic Mirror was a country called Samosaland. Samosaland was run by the Trippy Party, represented by Jeon, who was our country's prime minister. The government the Trippy Party set for Samosaland brought a high focus on environmental preservation and set up laws that put the government in very high control with everything essential for the citizens' survival. They did this by owning the health, education, and energy hexes, which every citizen needed to gain their well-being points. Civic Mirror started off with several pre-game events. The most prominent one for me personally was the hex auction. I had never been to an actual auction before, so the hex auction, although fake, taught me a lot, especially about the interrelatedness of supply, demand, and price. The prices for the hexes started out pretty tame, with numbers mostly under 1,000. However, as the auction went on and people got more and more desperate, the numbers absolutely skyrocketed. So as demand goes up, supply goes down, and price grows along with the demand. Personally, I was planning on buying an apartment complex, so I hadn't bothered to bid for the many houses that were out on the auction before the apartments. However, I found out that people were pooling their money together to share apartment complexes, and that no matter how much money I had, I could not fight against, for example, a whole political party that was trying to buy the same apartment I was trying to buy. So I quickly gave up on buying an apartment complex for myself and tried getting myself a house. But I had made a crucial mistake in waiting so long, as others were also getting more desperate and prices for houses went through the roof. I ended up buying a house for a little under $3,000 when another classmate had bought a mansion earlier on in the auction for around the same price. What I learned through my personal experience in the auction also applied to real life. Human nature dictates that the more desperate a person gets, the more they are willing to give up for what they want. This lesson about an aspect of human nature as a whole was taught to me via the hex auction in the pre-game events. Next was winter. Winter was the season where the House of Commons took place, and all of the laws and regulations that me and my other fellow citizens would have to follow for the rest of the year. Winter was perhaps the most interesting season for me, as it taught me the most valuable lessons about governments in the real world. There was an MP in the House of Commons who went corrupt and did not follow their particular political party. He voted for the passing of laws that his party did not want to be passed, thus resulting in A. frustration for his entire party, and B. the passing of many laws that went against my personal hidden agenda, which was conservative. It was later revealed that this MP did this because the government in power had offered him money in exchange for his vote. Civic Mirror is essentially a reflection of real-life government, and the bribery basically showcased what goes on in real-life government. It brought out a dimension to the government I had never really thought of before, in that bribery wins over one's true heart. Another lesson Winter also taught me about governments is the government's accountability to its people. The issue of checks and balances in the government was a topic that came up very frequently during the House of Commons, and it got me thinking a lot about how much us citizens really do know about what our government is going around doing with the money that we give them. The truth is, every government has their secrets and people doing their dirty work for them, even a country like Canada. After winter was spring. Spring was perhaps the busiest of all the Civic Mirror seasons, as it was where everybody went frantic trying to get money and other units so they could gain as many well-being points as they possibly could. Personally, one of my biggest regrets in Civic Mirror is that I didn't plan out my time for the trading session very well. I had the insurance hex in the city center under my control, so I was able to make a lot of money, unlike some of my peers who only had what was given to them in the beginning. But I spent almost all of spring negotiating with other citizens about the selling prices of my insurance units instead of buying other units for my own, such as tech or entertainment units to gain well-being points for myself. This taught me another lesson, that time management when running a business is crucial. Summer came next, and along with it came the town hall. I acted as the moderator for the town hall, which pretty much just meant that I would tell people when to speak and when to stop, and to calm down if they got too carried away with their words or emotions. At first, summer seemed a little pointless to me, as the town hall was pretty much just a period where people complained and complained and complained about the unfairness they had experienced during the open market in spring, whether it was through their own actions or other people oppressing them. I thought that complaining did nothing, and that Civic Mirror would be better off with just having the court in fall. However, after I came to the conclusion that I was short-sighted in viewing summer this way, as in real life, a time given purely to an effort at peacemaking rather than going straight to court would only benefit everybody. First of all, it would promote a more peaceful society, which results in a more peaceful culture and would also save the government a lot of time and energy for cases that could have been resolved without intercessory action from the government. Last but not least was fall. Fall and summer were kind of connected in that summer was where everybody vocalized their complaints, and fall was where those who were very serious about their voiced complaints were allowed to take legal action against their supposed perpetrators. I did not partake in a particular role during fall like I did during summer. I was just one of the citizens observing the court action taking place. Unfortunately, I was away for most of fall due to personal reasons, so I didn't get to see a lot of what had happened, but I was present for some of Jeon's case against Russell and the rest of his political party. This case was basically Jeon suing Russell for not selling him a food unit because he had turned his back against him and his political party earlier in the game, during winter. However, since Russell had in fact offered Jeon food in return for a significant amount of property from him, Jeon lost his case and ended up owing Russell everything he owned. This case had me wondering about what the conclusion would have been if this case was real in Canada. I came to the conclusion that the resolution for this case would probably have been the same, as Canada has laws against discrimination for any reason. This brought me to the realization that Samosa Land had, in fact, tried very hard to be very much like Canada, although much less successful, due to problems like corrupt politicians and not much action from the government. In conclusion, what did I learn from Civic Mirror? Overall, Civic Mirror gave me a plethora of valuable lessons regarding human nature and how far humans will go to gain power for themselves. Civic Mirror was a highlight of the Grade 10 Civics course, and I am glad that I got to be a part of it. Thank you for listening.